Well, let's see if it works. Let's see if it works. Don't. Well, it looks like the microphone can hear me. Gen X Mom, say hello.
Hello.
Yeah, it kind of hears you in the background too. I don't know if they can hear you, but I can hear you. Yes, we're still working on getting the background. Come on, man. You guys know we've been so busy. Those of you that are on the member sites, all the posting we've done and all the hurrying and driving and coming, come on, man. You know it's a big thing. So we are getting it better. Look, we got one thing up there. Look, we got one thing. Boom. And we got the whiteboard in case there's questions. We can question and answer time. Welcome to the Garage Show. Gen X Talks. Gen X Talks produces a world show. A lot about politics and the world around us. The Garage Show, just basic automotive stuff and handyman stuff. You know, nothing shade tree mechanic stuff. That's the best way to describe it. You should have no expectations of learning anything here. If you're a guy, you're already going to know more than I do. Now, chicks, maybe not so much. Maybe some I might. If you're 5 years old, I guarantee I'm smarter than every 5-year-old out there. There's a 5-year-old out there who's challenging me. I'm going to win this one. I got to keep looking at that camera. So I'm looking at this one like it's here, but it's up there. See? Now I'm looking at you. I'm getting confused. I do that a lot. All right. So it's just the same thing. Gen X Talks puts common sense to about everything in the world. Even when we're doing politics, we're doing stuff around the board. You weirdos in Florida with all the weird shit you guys do. I'm not trying to pick on Florida. But there's some common sense that needs to be approached on those things. So we do that here. We do the same thing with the garage shows. You guys can write things in the comment section. You can add stuff to it. And if there's something you guys want to talk about, we can. I just ramble through common everyday things. It seems like there's a lot of you that ask about car purchases because my background is 35 years working on cars. Nothing fancy, just a general basic automotive. There's a lot of guys out there. If you're looking for in-depth transmission repair, there's channels that are way better than me. In-depth line-by-line automotive diagnosis. I've been out of the game for a few years, and there's guys that do it every day. I'm not even trying to do that. I can answer those questions. You guys ask me what an O2 sensor does. You guys ask me what a mass airflow sensor does. I will tell you those things. You guys want to ask me the components in a cooling system, and the answer to most of that stuff for you pretty well. But the idea is this is just basic rudimentary garage shop type of talk. Okay. We have had some in-depth conversations. You guys didn't know how carburetors worked, and we drew it out, kind of gave you the basics. Seemed to turn some heads on that. So, it's not for nothing. We got some stuff here. Eventually, when the garage gets set, you guys know we have a new garage because we moved from the Southern California area up to the Northern Nevada area. We rented this house. We leased it for 2 years while we build our house over in Dayton. So this will become more decorated. We're going to be here for a minute. We'll get things squared away. But for right now, you got the key elements, baby. I'm sitting right in front of you, all right? So there's a few things. Gen X Mom, since you're here, do you have anything in the sheets that I need to address before I begin just rambling? Because I got rambling to get to.
Colonel Sanders Cluckfuckers is a member for 12 months.
Colonel
one.
Got his big red one. Colonel Sanders Cluckfuckers. How do you guys come up with these names? You sign in, you can pick any name you want, and you drunk is what you were. And you sit there, YouTube says, and what would you like your screen name to be? Colonel Sanders Cluckfucker. Okay. You're memorable. I'll give you that.
Star Roberts just gifted 5 memberships to start off the evening on YouTube.
How did Star Roberts even know we were here? He's not on garage shows. Star Roberts is one of the go-to guys that lets you guys get a membership on YouTube. It means you can take a peek behind the curtain when the show's over. You can scroll back 4.5 years of personal stuff, Gen X Talks family stuff that we post just for members. Thank you for doing that, Star Roberts.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so I do get a lot of questions about basic stuff. What's funny is I get questions about, I get a lot of emails from women that say, what should I get my husband as a gift for a tool? I don't know. Show me every tool he's got and I'll see if there's something missing. I wouldn't say get you a cordless screw gun. Maybe he's got nice ones already and I'm fucking it up. But I will tell you something that a lot of guys have a basic one of. If you girls want to spend some money and you want to impress your guy and you want to get him something, he's like, holy shit, how did you know to get this? Lots of guys have meters. I've got 3 or 4 voltage meters, DVOMs, digital volt ohm meters. I've got several. But my favorite that I've had forever is a Fluke 88. Now, Fluke, I don't know anymore. I've been out of the game a little bit, but Fluke was the gold standard for 600 years, back before there was even electricity. I heard Fluke was making meters to measure the electricity just in case the electricity showed up. And it's a true story. When Ben Franklin was out there with a kite and he had the key on the string, waiting for the lightning to strike, the voltage to come, there was a dude standing there with a Fluke meter ready to test that voltage. It's a true story. Or it's a story. Anyway, so you guys, I got a Fluke 88 back in, I think 1991. They were $500 back in 1991. I don't know what they are now. And maybe Fluke 88 is not the best model because it does a few things. And there's models that are higher than this. But you can't go wrong with a good Fluke meter. I mean, you get one with all the buttons, all the bells and whistles. You get one with their stuff all around the dial. And my personal favorite thing that I liked about it working on cars was that mine lit up. And when you're working under the hood of a car or you're working under the dash of a car, having a button that turns on the goddamn backlight was a must. And they didn't all have that. In fact, this was the only Fluke at the time that did. But you guys want to impress your men. You guys want to get them a meter and step them up. Get them a Fluke meter. And it's a couple bucks, man. They're not cheap. If you get a cheap one, then you're probably getting one like he's already got. Now, there's electricians who need special ones that go for, if you're an electrician, you're working on big power. Okay, I probably wouldn't guide you. I wouldn't know what to get you there. You might have to ask him a little bit. But for a guy who does a little bit of electrical, a little bit of automotive, a little bit of around the house stuff, you get him one of these, he'll have it forever. I've had two, and the only reason I got two is because my buddy dropped one off of his boat into the lake in Central Oregon when he was checking something. He had to go buy me another one. So this one's from probably, 1997, 98. But I'm telling you, it's the identical Fluke meter. 1991, I got my first one, and I've never looked back. So you guys are always asking me about gifts like that. Some of you ask me about meters, so Fluke, and I'll put it up. There's a silly site that the kid does with Gen X Talks. He doesn't do as much on camera. He does a ton of stuff behind the scenes. That's why he doesn't do his jukebox shows. But you guys always used to ask me, especially years ago, well, what does the general use for this tool? What brand that? And so finally, the kid put up a page. It's on the website, genxtalks.com. Ton of stuff there to poke around. I mean, grab a beer and go look around that site. But one of them was, what do I use? What whiskey do I drink? It's on there. We don't get any money for the whiskey. What cigars do I smoke? It's on there. There's affiliate links for some of the stuff where if you bought one, we get 13 cents. Thank you for the 13 cents. But there's a lot of stuff we don't have an affiliate link. You guys just asked what it was that I've got. And the reason is sometimes you guys want to get that as a gift and say, hey, by the way, the general drinks this or he smokes these. This is one thing that should be on there. A Fluke meter like this. I should put that on there. But so now you guys know. Anything in the sheets before we get going?
Yes, I do.
What do you got there?
Johnny O on Facebook. Would you ever own a Prius?
Would I ever own a Prius? Well, I'm a big fat white guy. So if I said yes, Johnny O, I'd have to get one. I'd have to get two, one for each foot. I'd have to run those things like a roller skate. I don't think I'd even fit in a Prius. I'd have to go Bubba Smith on that and rip out the front seat, sit in the back seat where I could fit. And that was an extremely good pull when I said the Bubba Smith thing, and I bet it went right over everybody's head. The only person who get that reference is Danny. Do you get that reference? You know why you don't get that reference? Because you're an uncultured swine, my wife. That's two. What's that reference from? Look, I'm just fucking knocking it out of the park with movies today.
All right. MacArthur 215 gave $20.
Holy shit, my man.
General, have a drink on me, good sir.
I'm going to do that. I'm not drinking while I'm doing the garage show. Why don't I drink during the garage show? Well, it's too goddamn important. We have stuff going on here. We're passing along sound, logical advice to the next generation. We can't fuck it up. Can't fuck it up. Got to stay strong. Also, I don't think the Sun Valley Fox is watching tonight, so I'm going to talk as much serious shit about him as I goddamn can. Because he's not here.
TBone 76 gifted 5 memberships tonight on YouTube.
My man TBone. I dig when you guys give memberships and let people take a look. That's a cool thing.
Brad Baker for $10.
Yeah, Brad.
Good evening, General and beautiful Queen Mama X. Ladies, get your man an assortment of 10mm wrenches. If you know, you know.
That is true. There's a line of tools now. Harbor Freight used to be the 7-Eleven of tools. Harbor Freight was the dollar store of tools, and many of their products still are. Many of their products are still just the cheap, go grab one for $6 and get back on the job. However, they're getting some stuff out there that is becoming quite competitive. I don't make fun of them nearly like I did 20 years ago. No, 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 no. And their wrenches, if you go in there and you bought a set of, you could buy a whole bunch of 10 millimeter wrenches, 10 millimeter sockets. If you give them to your husband or your boyfriend kind of as a gag gift for a Christmas or a birthday, it'd be a little bit funny, but he'd really appreciate it. Because that's the most borrowed, stolen, not replaced, not returned, got lost under the hood, can't find it where I dropped it tool there is. So ladies, write that down. 10 millimeter sockets and wrenches. Brad Baker's right. You get some of those. I'm just saying, your guy would not be mad if you got him a handful of those just to be funny, because it is useful. Yeah. Anything else, Gen X Mom?
Brad Baker wants to know Harbor Freight Icon brand is pretty damn good.
Yeah, the Icon. That's true. Icon brand has come a long way. They're fucking badass. They're not. They're competing head to head on torque, grip, and when they break with Snap-on. They're trying to get right up there, and they're not using dissimilar metals anymore when they forge those things. I'm telling you, Harbor Freight has come a long way, and their reputation is growing. They're getting serious about competing with some stuff. So just so you guys know, not always a bad thing, but you really got to know what you're looking at when you go in there.
Continue on.
So the other thing I was going to tell you guys is somebody asked me, I brought this tool out before, and back in the day, unless you spent $5,000, it was hard to measure amperage, how much current something was drawing through a wire. So they came out with this tool, and it plugs into your fluke meter. And you had to have, well, not just a fluke meter, any meter. Most meters would do this, and you put your fluke meter on a certain setting, which I can't do right now. But you put it on, you take your meter and you put this tool on here. But what you can see by this, put it on my head, it has an inductive pickup. And what you would do, I'm going to use it with this wire right here, is you would clamp it around the wire. See how I did that? And then your fluke meter, your meter, would begin telling you, the current that's going through it. And it was kind of funny because we used to play with these when we first got them. We check everything. You have a lamp in your house, and it has a cord going to the wall, and there's two prongs, most of them two prongs, and it goes into the wall. You can't grab that cord. You know why? Because you're grabbing both wires. If you split it and grab one of the wires, then you can see what's going on in your lamp or your toaster or your hairdryer. But you can't just grab both one cord with two wires in it, or three. It won't work. Pay attention to what I'm telling you. So back in the day, we were trying to find all kinds of crazy ways to figure out how to use this in automotive. And so some of you guys wrote me emails about what did we ever test with these, because unless you are a serious hardcore diagnostic guy, and I mean like way beyond what I did, there are guys out there that can tell you shit that you look at them and go, holy fuck, how do you know this? And they're not guessing. And I'll tell you one we did was, in a truck automotive, you have a fuse box, row of fuses, okay? And remember, you just got to grab one wire. So if I found engine's running and I pull the fuse out for the fuel pump stops, car quits. What?
A noob wants to know, is this similar to a big one used on main breaker boxes? Breaker boards?
Yeah, it's similar. The electricians have handheld ones now. You don't need the meter and all this. I'm just going back to the way it was. But yeah, they have these now where you can go right around a single wire. Go right around something and you can measure current flow, amperage. Anyway, so if a car was running and I pulled out the fuel pump fuse, fuel pump quits, car stalls, but I don't put the fuse back in. I put a wire in it. There's two prongs in a fuse. I put a wire. Now it's a tall wire. Start the car back up. Now, there's no fuse protecting the circuit. You can make a wire with a fuse in it if you still want to be protected. But now that wire's out there, and that wire, I can get around it, and I can check how many amps, how much draw there is, how many amps that fuel pump is using while it's running. You let that fuel pump run for a long time, let that engine run for a while, get everything warmed up. You clamp it, and what if you pull out that fuse and it's a 20 amp fuse, because that fuel pump runs under 20 amps, so a 20 amp fuse is good. But what if I check this wire where the fuse was, and I'm running at 19 amps. That lets me know that fuel pump is working as hard as it can. It's got a problem. It's either old or it's damaged or it's wore out. Now I can check things. And we learned you can check a ton of stuff on how things are running on a car by amperage. How much is it supposed to be using and how much is it using? There's no guesswork on that. But there's guys that took these things even further. Now, you don't have to buy these things anymore. I don't even know if this one still works. I would guess it does. But now they're just standalone tools. You don't need both. But if you want to get your guy a gift and you found an amp clamp, no cord on it though, it's all in one unit, man. That's something, even if your guy didn't use it a ton, he'd be like, holy shit, now he can check some shit. Most guys run around trying to find stuff. They start pulling wires apart and you're going to get mad and go, put my hairdryer back together. No, I'm just seeing how fucked up, how much electricity your goddamn curling iron uses. And you start... I did that. My wife got mad because I started splitting all the wires in the house when I first got this 20 years ago. And I'm running around the house trying to figure out how much is that freezer, that refrigerator, how much is her curling iron or hair. I mean, I checked everything. I wanted to know what the fuck was going on. I'm just saying it's kind of a novelty gift. The new ones are expensive, but oh my God, your husband or your boyfriend never going to buy another one. They're badass. No, I do not have an affiliate link for this or this. I don't have anywhere to send you. I mean, I guess I could put something up there on our website, but right now I don't have anything. Anyway, just so you guys know. What else you got? Anything else? Any questions you guys got tonight?
Keith Peterson for $10 says shade tree mechanic school in process.
That's right, baby. And I don't and it's a Charlie Brown Christmas tree type of tree. It's not even a full-grown tree that we can sleep under when we're supposed to be working. No. You know, I got a story for you. If I don't get interrupted by my wife. Stories don't flow well when she keeps interrupting me, but I'll tell you one. This is a true story. My grandfather and grandmother decided to take me across the United States. I guess I was maybe 17. Had motorhomes and they had people they traveled with, and so this would have been, I guess, 1985, somewhere there, 85 or 85, I think, 86. And they had like 3 or 4 of their members of their camping club, Valley Vagabonds, they called themselves. And they're going to go across the country. Didn't even care how long it took. And they're like, do you want to go? And I'm like, fuck yeah. So I quit my job, left my girlfriend, took off. And we got to this. There was the Dodge motorhome we were driving kept making a real weird noise on acceleration. Brrrt. That's the noise. Brrrt. You'd accelerate, you take off from light, brrr, then it would go away. You take off slow, wouldn't do it. Take off hard, do it every time. Put it in reverse, wouldn't do it. And this was beginning to be concerning because I'm still young in automotive at 17. I'm like, I don't get what this is. An old school Dodge engine, big old 440 under the hood, and you can see everything and work and everything. But I couldn't figure it out. So my grandpa gets concerned, and we were in a small town. I think we were just outside of Marshalltown, Iowa. This is where the shade tree part comes in, because my grandfather was a World War II guy, greatest generation. My grandfather was probably the greatest man I've ever known in my life. And there's been 3. He was one of them. And he never really got mad. He didn't try to get even with people, but he stood his ground when he needed to. He stood up when he had to. I've seen him getting into scraps when he had to, but just that was his nature. Anyway, so he wants to take this motorhome and get it fixed to a Dodge dealership. So takes it in there, and they had it for, I guess, day and a half. So we come back in there, second day, and they charged my grandpa, back then, $200 or $300. And he says, well, what's wrong? And they said, well, we couldn't find anything. So my grandpa checks the mileage on it, and the mileage was like 1 mile. 1 mile difference from when he brought it in. So my grandpa got mad, and you know, he's trying to hold it together, but he says, you got 1 mile on this thing. You didn't find anything. You're charging me like $200 or $300. He goes, and this is the first time I kind of really heard him say anything about a shade tree. He goes, did your mechanic just go park it under a shade tree? You take it to the park half a mile down the road, took a nap, had lunch, came back. He wasn't yelling, but he was getting his point across, and the dealership said, if you don't want it, then we're not giving you your motorhome, pay the bill. This is where the story takes a turn, because now I'm one of the first times in my life I'm seeing someone take advantage of my grandfather who never deserved it. And at 17, I was not the most, I wasn't the most reliable, dependable person. I could snap out and do stupid shit, and I tried not to, but I did. This particular time, he paid the bill, got the stuff, and everybody got in the motorhome, and I was driving, and I pulled around the block and told my grandparents to get out, which they did. And this old town outside of Marshalltown, Iowa, had a Dodge dealership at the time. It was an old dealership where the front of the dealership is right up against the sidewalk, like street, sidewalk, and as you walk down the sidewalk, you're touching the glass of all the showroom of all the new cars. And they had that. Now they added on, and there was more services way in the back. But I drove around, and I turned towards the glass, and I backed up that motorhome, blocking traffic, and I started revving the engine and chirping the tires, barking, like revving against the brakes until somebody comes out and, what the fuck are you doing? I said, they just ripped off my grandfather. I'm driving through that front door. I'm driving through the glass right here. I'm going to go right through the showroom. I'm going to wipe out those fucking cars, and I'm going to go drive right through to the other side of the building. Well, called the cops, but I didn't get out. Newspaper people came. Cameras came. I'm making a big scene. There's my grandfather. My grandmother shaking her head going, oh my fucking God. What's he doing? My grandfather was shaking his head, but he had that little twinge of pride. Like, that's my grandson. He's not letting me get and take advantage of it. He's tired of being fucked over. He didn't say that. But my grandfather called them a shade tree mechanic, and I wanted the money back. I ended up not driving through the glass. I ended up not going to jail. It did make all the newspapers, though. And the articles in the newspaper drew attention, and my grandfather wrote a letter to Chrysler and said, I don't think I was treated fair. And this had already come to the attention of Dodge corporate. The story had circulated around about the idiot kid who was gonna, and they gave him his money back. Corporate refunded all of his money. So I think the lesson to be learned here, kids, is when your grandfather's getting fucked over, threaten to drive a motorhome through a building, and you can get yourself $250 right back. I do think that's the moral of the story. And the moral of the story on the other side of this, for those of you that have shops, don't be a shade tree mechanic. I think that's fair. Don't you? The two morals in the same story? All right, what else? Now I need a drink. What else we got? I'm going to hydrate. Gen X Mom, what do you got for me?
Crisco gifted a membership tonight on YouTube. Top Notch Rule gifted 5 Gen X Talks memberships.
You guys are really good about those memberships. I'm telling you, that warms my heart for you guys. All right. Anything else in the sheets? No questions? Nothing? Okay. So, Teemo comes out, and you think as a seasoned young man of the world getting on with his years, you think as a mechanic, you think as a Generation X, I wouldn't be drawn in and sucker punched by some of these Johnny-come-lately things like Wish.com and Teemo. You stick with what you know. You go to Sears. You get your lawnmower as a Craftsman lawnmower from Sears. You buy your refrigerator from a guy who knows fridges. All right. So I don't know. My son Briggs, the one you guys know in the videos, he warned me day one. My son came out and said, Dad, I don't know why you're scrolling around on Teemo, but knock it off. He warned me. Yeah, this is a small Teemo story about how I stepped on my dick. So if you guys don't mind a story about how the old guy stepped on his dick, I'd love to tell you. So I needed to do some stuff in the garage. Yes, I'll move over a little bit. My God, what are you guys bitching about? I did get a stool. Yeah, I bought one. Guess where I bought it from? Harbor Freight. If it doesn't hold up my ass, guess who's getting the stool back? Harbor Freight. So anyway, Teemo. I needed some casters, and casters are wheels, big wheels on carts that go around. Even on shopping carts, the wheels, they're called casters, and there's all different kinds and weights and sizes. And Briggs is warning me, he says, Dad, Teemo's not what you think. It's all fucked up. Don't do it. I'm like, yeah, but there's some really cool look. I mean, the pictures are great. The prices are awesome. So I needed some casters. So I should have known that 6 casters for like $8, you get what you pay for. I ordered it anyway. because I'm going to get some casters, and I'm going to get 6 of these things, and I'm going to bolt them to one of my big push carts that's really heavy, that has bad wheels from back in the day. I'm going to rip the wheels off, put these 6 casters on here, and these casters, you know, I'm fucking just going to town, man. I can't wait for them to arrive. Well, my kid actually got the mail. He opened it up. He took a lot of pride in handing me one of the casters. So he's going to toss it to me. So I'm like, whoa, shit, you did the caster. Well, here's one of the casters I got. Yeah, you see that? Fucking Teemo. Oh, and I had no fucking clue they were that tiny, and they're probably shitty. I haven't even found something to put these on. I don't even know what to put these on. I can't invent something to put these on. I have no idea what these are fucking for or why they're even here. So I thought, well, I'll pay more attention to the size, and I get in there, and they had some nice neoprene ones, big orange neoprene ones. So I ordered 4 of those. Guess what came? Yeah, look familiar? A little bit bigger than this one, a little bit bigger, but still not what I was looking for when I want casters this big. So. Just so you know, the General has had, Teemo has broke it off in my ass more than once. And I didn't like it. It wasn't funny. And I'm learning my lesson not to buy shit. It's because I'll tell you what we did. You know who got pissed? It was the Sun Valley Fox. Because I thought, okay, these are neoprene. And they still look like they're put together pretty good. I'll put a bunch of them on the big doghouse. Those of you who are on the member site, YouTube member site, you saw all the pictures. You saw the pictures, massive doghouse. We put all those on there. And guess what? When Briggs and the Sun Valley Fox went to offload this off a trailer, broke the wheels right off. I mean, it shattered. The stem went right through the wheel. The wheel just broke in half. And this metal piece was sitting straight on the ground. You don't think I wasn't... I didn't want to answer that phone call when the Sun Valley Fox called me. He said, what the fuck, man? Because it was bad. And, I mean, I just no injuries. There was no OSHA. Nobody had to call HR. I didn't get sued. My liability insurance was okay. But it was a fucking wreck, I'll tell you. Gen X Mom, what do you got between the sheets, honey?
GGGT wants to know, what was the problem with the motorhome?
Oh, yeah. I never did say what the problem was. Good point. Who was that? GGT?
GGG Team.
GGG Team. So, the motorhome, what it ended up being... was a broken motor mount. Now listen to me. So you put it in drive, and you guys all know old school. And you vroom, vroom, you see an engine rev. It's vroom, vroom, vroom. They rock the torque, right? So the motor mount was broken, and this was a truck engine. This was a truck. It was a forward rear transmission truck, you know, facing forward, radiator, fan, and all that. And what was happening was the thing would lift up. And the big metal spinning fan from this 73 Dodge or 74 Dodge would raise up and hit the shroud. It was raising up, and then you let off the gas, the motor would sit back down, and it wasn't hitting the shroud anymore. You do it in reverse, and the motor would torque the other way. So this motor mount was good. It didn't lift up. But when you put it in there and you jump motor would rev up, engine would torque up because the motor mount was broken, fan would hit the shroud, loud as can fucking be. But we couldn't hear it sitting still, and we revved it up with the hood open, but we were in park. Very little load. Engine just moves a little bit. Put it in drive, load that fucking thing up, put the brakes on, put it in gear. Then you're going to see some move. Not like that. But it ended up being the motor mount, which I changed. Did my first Dodge 440 motor mount at a campsite. Just brought some tools with me and had a bottle jack and a block of wood. Just changed. Took a long time, but I was happy that I did it myself. And really surprising, the Dodge dealership didn't know that. You know, that's something that would have been... Now as a mechanic, on in my years, if someone tells me he's doing that, you kind of just... That's one of the things you'd look for. But yeah, back then I didn't know, and they didn't tell us. And yeah, so that's good. I can't believe I forgot to give the answer, man. I forgot to give the solution. Thank you for saying that. Cool stuff. Yeah, Gen X Mom.
Jonathan Robert King. Facebook.
Jonathan Robert King on Facebook.
Harbor Freight has come a long way. Most of their stuff is returnable for brand new. Their Badlands winches beat out worn. You know, worn fucking
No,
winches.
no. Say that last part again about the winches. What was that?
They're Badlands winches.
Badlands winches
Beat out worn.
from Harbor Freight. Beat out a worn winch? No. Who said that? Who's talking this heresy?
Jonathan Robert King.
Jonathan Robert King. You know, my trailer that you guys, the member sites, you guys all seen pictures of the car hauler. It's a real car hauler. I mounted a winch to it, I don't know, 20 years ago, 18 years ago, and it finally went bad. And I was going to have to cut off all my welds and re-weld the new winch so no one would steal it. And I was going to get a worn winch. What do you call it? Is these their Badlands? I'm going to have to look and see that, man. Thank you for bringing that up because, you know, I don't haul cars with it every day. I don't need a winch that's going to, you know, that's got to wear itself out over, you know, doing 30 cars a month. But I want something strong on there. If that's true, man, now you've piqued my interest. I'll tell you what we do know. We're not going to get our winch from Teemo because the winch would probably be this big. Yeah, wouldn't even lift my Johnson. No. Good call on that. Thank you for that. Appreciate that.
Fire Woo Dart.
Fire Woo Dart, my man.
93 Yukon.
Yeah.
Tail lights work intermittently. Brake and turn signal work all the time. Ideas?
Repeat that question, please.
93 Yukon.
93 Yukon.
Tail lights work intermittently.
Yeah.
Brake and turn signal work all the time. Ideas?
So he's talking about his running lights. Brakes, it's not a ground then because they all share the same ground in the back. If the ground was loose, then none of them would work consistently. So we got a good ground. If the running lights don't work in the back on both sides, I would check to see if your running lights work all the way around. I mean, how do you know they only work intermittently on just the back? Are the front, you know, you have running lights on the front, they're amber. Do those go out too? Because now think of watch what I'm telling you. If you have running lights, you turn on your headlights, one click, and your running lights come on, and they work sometimes. You drive down the road, sometimes they're on, sometimes they're off, sometimes they're on, sometimes they're off. If that's true for the fronts also, we're dealing with a power supply problem. Power to all of them because the power goes out from one fuse, one switch out to all of those. In 93, I don't know if they had a body control module on that. They might, but still the same thing. It sends out the signal. However, they all have individual grounds. They ground in different places. Sometimes right there at the headlight. Sometimes they have a gang ground inside on the fenders or in the back. But typically, if they're all going out, you're dealing with a power problem. Now, on trucks, sometimes trucks, and back in the old days, the taillights wouldn't work in the back, but the front was. And a lot of the times what would happen was the harness, you know, there's a bed and a cab. And the electrical would come down, and there was a plug about halfway, and all the wiring for everything went through the plug. And then it went on and did its thing for the trailer hitch, for the electrical in the back, for lights in the back if you had a light in the bed, stuff like that. And sometimes those would go bad. But on a 93, I think on GM they ran them all the way through. I would be looking at a power supply problem. Verify that they're all working. If you come back and say, yeah, none of them work, when the back ones go off, the front ones go off too. All right, start with your switch. Start with your fuse. See if there's a body control module that can be reset. There's just simple stuff. I know that sounds complicated, but back then, body control modules, either they're pregnant or they're not. They either work or they don't. So you can get in there with old scanners and see stuff pretty easy. Even just a $60 scanner gets into those stuff now. I hope that helps. Just a little direction stuff there.
The Shoeless one gifted 5 memberships on YouTube.
Thank you, Shoeless.
Let's see. Anoop.
Anoop?
On YouTube says, my uncle's questioning if his petrol car should have had a diesel particulate filter
Yeah.
installed during a recent repair. Can petrol cars have DPFs installed without any compatibility issues?
DPFs only. The diesel filters only go on diesels. So when you say petrol, it sounds like you're from Europe or something like that, or you're backwoods Australian. No offense, just love you guys. But gas engines don't have that. At least in the States, they don't. Diesel engines, yeah, that's like saying if you change it over to a gas engine, say if there's a major repair done, a lot of times guys go in there on major repairs, they do the air filter, the oil filter, the fuel filter, PCV valve, that's part of the package. When they're doing it, you get your car back, you're all up to snuff. So it's the same with diesel. If you did a big diesel repair, filters get done. Sometimes not on the converter side of things, but I'm just telling you, if it's a big repair, smash up, if you had an engine repair where things pass through the engine, a lot of times those guys will do it. But there's no diesel particulate filter on a gas. If petrol's, what the fuck is petrol? I don't know. I'm American. That's just gas, right? I'm just saying. No, they should not have. If you have a gas engine, they should not have put a diesel particulate filter on your gas engine. That's all but I can look it up for you. Send me an email, genxdad@genxtalks.com. I answer those. You guys send me basic automotive stuff all the time. Just send me your make and model, and I'll look it up for you. Because if it's something I don't know, I could probably find it. Yeah, Gen X Mom.
Noob said thanks for the info. I'm going to tell him.
Yeah, and just, Anoop, send me the email, genxdad@genxtalks.com. Just say it's year, make, and model this. What is it? I'll look it up for you. I have no problem with that. I got more time than money. Just sit around doing it. Yeah. Anything else in there?
Yes. Dude wants to know, so General, you like the miter box the kid bought you and you yelled at him for buying it at Harbor Freight?
Well, first of all, it's not a miter box, dude. It's a miter saw. Miter boxes are different. Yeah, for those of you that remember the Hercules Harbor Freight miter saw incident, yeah, that was we still have it. It's still here. It's in you can't see it, but it's right over here in the background. Now, we don't do construction on it. You know, we don't build houses all day long. Do I think this Hercules miter saw would have failed after building 2 houses? Yeah. Do I think a DeWalt or a Milwaukee one would have gone through 30 or 40 houses? I do. But we have no way of proving that because what the kid uses it for, it has done its job. It hasn't had any problems. So I tell you right now, for what it's worth, yeah, I guess it was worth the money. Seems to be okay. The kid reminds me that every time we move it, he smiles as he's moving. He looks at me and goes, "Hey, still working." So, yeah, the Hercules saw is standing up, standing the test of time so far.
All right. Sammy Joe.
Sammy Joe. Do I know who that is?
On Facebook.
Sammy Joe on Facebook.
I have a question for the General.
Not ringing a bell. Should we just skip over her and go to someone familiar? Because Sammy Joe, that's just, should I know who that is? Sammy Joe used to be on staff here. I'm just giving her shit. She could be standing right next to me and you wouldn't know because she's this tall. She'd be below the camera angle right now. Yeah, Sammy Joe, what's your question?
What's an Allen wrench and who's Allen?
I don't know who Allen is. An Allen wrench, it's so funny. I was in a tech school one time. An Allen wrench, I think I got one. Hang on a second. Let me get my fat ass over here. I might have one up here. Maybe not. If I do have one, I can show it to you. I don't. They're not in my Allen wrench drawer over here, so I don't have one. They're over there on that side. Let me see if that's got an Allen head on the end of it. It does. Really hard to see, though. I don't know if you can see that. The sides on that, an Allen head is an insert, and they've got, I think they got 6 sides on it. 1, 2, 3, yeah, 6 sides. But it's kind of weird. A socket fits over the outside of a bolt or a nut and grabs it and turns. And an Allen does the opposite. The inside is shaped, and this fits inside and turns. And I used to bitch and complain about this all the time when I was in tech school, that Allen sockets were dumb and they didn't work. And you know what the tech instructor finally told me? This is way back when. Now anybody can get an Allen. It's pretty common. Back in the day, they weren't exactly, couldn't go into Sears, and find a lot of Allen sockets. There are not a lot of sizes. But it was one of the changes the automotive industry made to make it where you don't work on it at home. To make things like this that you have to reach way back in there to do something, not a common tool, and you wouldn't work on it at home. The automotive industry is making you take it to the dealership, making you take it to a garage to get fixed. And I used to bitch about the fact that there's no, in my opinion, when I was like 18, I kept saying, there's no reason for an Allen to exist at all. I don't know. That's probably stupid about that, but Allen wrenches, yeah, they're, I don't know who Allen is, but the fucking guy, if he patented this, he made a mint. He's probably drunk one day, right? He's at a bar with his buddies, and they're making nuts and bolts. He's like, you know what we do? Forget that whole shit about the socket grabbing it on the outside, the wrench grabbing it on the outside. Let's invert it. Let's drill a hole in the center of the bolt, and let's make a shape in there, like a stop sign or something. And then let's sell them the tools to do that. Like, no, that's fucking dumb. You can't insert something. You say, hey, Screwdriver's been doing it forever. You got Phillips and Standard, and they fit inside and turn. Why can't we do that with bolts? That was drunk, whoever Alan is. And yeah, for some reason, the guys picked up on it. That whoever Alan was, man, he fucking made $1 bazillion by inverting it. And I don't know. Today I don't hate him as much as I did when I was younger. But I didn't really have a reason to hate him when I was younger. I was just an asshole and said, those are fucking stupid. I didn't have a reason why. Gen X Mom.
Shoeless won $10 on YouTube.
Yeah, Shoeless.
You can't miss it when it rocks and the fan hits the shroud. I snapped one in my 78 Blazers 400 small block.
Yeah. When he's talking about the transmission thing, or the motor mount being bad. I just didn't catch it, 17 or so, and it just didn't occur to me. That had not occurred to us, dude. And just something I didn't pay attention to. I did ever since, you learn from experience, and I didn't know. So now you know what I know, which ain't much.
I think the Polish redneck on YouTube missed this. He goes, what's the general's thoughts on Icon tools from Harbor Freight?
Yeah, there's been so much testing and controversy and head-to-head with Snap-on. I got to tell you, I have a few of them that I just got individual wrenches for things as I was stuck on the road or something. I didn't have my gear with me. I have not used them in an automotive setting ever. But God, this is going to sound corny. If you had a set of wrenches here, all the same size, but a different brand. If you had Mac and Matco, you had Cornwell, you had Proto, you had Craftsman, you had Snap-on, you had Icon, and there's other ones too. If you, as a mechanic, if I pick each one of these wrenches up and the feel of the wrench, grab it on a bolt, kind of check it, grab the next one, grab the next one, grab the next one, I'm telling you, they all feel a little bit different. And there is a huge difference between Craftsman, especially the old ones, and Snap-on. Even Mac. I got Mac wrenches, and the Mac wrenches do not feel as good as the Snap-on wrenches. It's just, I don't know how to describe it. When you're in the industry, I'm sure that, if a secretary was a secretary, she could tell me the difference in typewriters, and I wouldn't know shit, but she would know which ones are the better typewriters, which ones feel better when used. I wouldn't know. I'd have to trust her. I'm telling you, in your industry, whatever you're doing, you know what just feels right, what works better. And I can't speak to other professions, but the Harbor Freight tools are coming up in how they feel. I could pick up an Icon wrench and go, all right, now 20 years ago, you pick up a tool from Harbor Freight and go, God damn, I can't believe I got to use this. You could blindfold me and I could tell you which one was which one, every brand. Now, when you pick up a Harbor Freight tool, those wrenches are coming along. If there's girls out there, wives or girlfriends, you're going to get a set of wrenches for your guy. Now, he may prefer, if he's in the automotive industry, he may prefer, Snap-on or something like that. But you're not going to hurt his feelings call him a backup set. Say, put these in the back of your drawer, put them in the back as a backup set. You lose a wrench or something happens, something breaks before the tool truck comes next week. That, I'm telling you, not a bad set. I'm not promoting them, like I would some of the big brands just yet, but they're badass now. They're coming along. Yeah, Gen X Mom.
Danny H wants to know any chance of a garage show where the kid is working on 8-bit with you supervising.
That's coming. We're actually going to, I don't know if it'll get to a garage show. Maybe it will. But we're definitely, 8-bit's coming off the trailer tomorrow. We're going over to the foxhole. And I got to wash it, get it cleaned up, check the oil, check the fluids, charge the battery. We got some stuff to do. A lot of these pictures and what we're discovering, because 8-bit is a 1991 Toyota Camry. And the reason is got it from his grandmother. That's my wife's mother, Sun Valley Fox's mother. She gave it to him before she passed. And I remember the reason it's called 8-bit is because Briggs looked at this car. He goes, it's boxy. I go, well, it's a 91 Camry. He goes, this looks like something you'd build in Minecraft. There's no curves. And I said, look, man, everything looked like this in 91. Shut the fuck up. And he goes, it's like an Atari 8-bit graphics where the basketballs are square. And so he nicknamed it 8-bit. He actually wants to get the license plate in Nevada up here that says 8-bit because it looks like 8-bit graphics. Okay, so what's happening with it right now, it had two problems, really the same problem, but you can drive it and it all of a sudden starts to bog down and won't go over 20 miles an hour. And then sometimes it kind of peters and shuts off. And if you let it sit for a few hours, it'll start right back up. So, of course, I'm not trying to give him all the answers, but I will help him walk through it. So he comes to me, he says, Dad, what's your first gut thing on this? And I said, well, by what you're telling me, I haven't driven it. What you're telling me is it drives and it won't go over 20 miles an hour, or it clogs up, bogs down, and shuts off, and you give it some time. I said, my first thing sounds like clogged exhaust, like a banana in the tailpipe. And a lot of times if you've got a backed up catalytic converter and you let them sit, they slowly bleed out, dissipate. Now they got room, and you start up and go down the road. Some of the exhaust is getting by, so you can go, but it slowly backs up and chokes out the engine, and then you're done. I said the other one is, the most common one, is a fuel pump. I said, you're not getting enough fuel pressure. You got enough fuel pressure to idle, you got enough fuel pressure to go, but you can't go over 20 miles an hour. I said, those are the first things to check. Now, this is where he's going with this. He's going to start tomorrow. We'll take pictures. If you're on the member sites, in fact, if you're on Facebook, there's a page called the General's Lunchbox. It's $1, but you get all the behind-the-scenes stuff. If you're on YouTube, there's a YouTube section on there for members. It's $1, but you get all the behind. You can scroll back 4.5 years. But what's coming tomorrow on the member site, what's coming this weekend, is the progress on 8-bit. And how I'm going to make him do the work, and I'll show you my ways of checking it. I do have sophisticated back pressure gauges where you can thread things in and you can go down the road and you can measure the exhaust back pressure. Yeah, it's a real tool. It's a real thing. However, there's also a simpler way to do it too. And I try to explain this to everybody. Nobody's understanding. Even the Sun Valley Fox, I think he kind of got it. But if you go down the road and your exhaust is plugged, and your engine bogs out because of plugged exhaust, your exhaust can't escape. It can't get out. I told him, well, unscrew your O2 sensor. Put it in the front seat. He goes, well, can you run a car without an O2 sensor? I go, well, yeah. They'll turn your check engine light on. There'll be a big old hole in your exhaust where the O2 sensor used to be. Going to be loud as a motherfucker. But the exhaust now has a place to get out. Right away, right at the top of the engine, not back there, right here. He goes, well, what is that going to tell me? I said, well, if you have clogged exhaust and you take that thing out and you run down the road and you come back and go, I can go 50 miles an hour and I can go 20 minutes driving and it never bogs down. Didn't we just determine that some part of your exhaust is clogged? When we gave the exhaust another way out, I said, I know nobody in the neighborhood's going to like hearing it. St. Donna is going to shit a purple fucking Twinkie when he fires this thing off and takes off out of the driveway. I'm really going to have to ask the Sun Valley Fox to run interference for me on that one because it's going to be loud. But that's a poor man's way to check it. Do it real quick. Take off and go. Now, fuel pump, if you get past 1991, I've got fuel pressure gauges and all the fittings, and you thread it onto the port. They built a port right in the fuel line so we can check fuel pressure. You tape it to the windshield so as you're driving down the road, you can see the gauge. This particular one does not have a fuel tap in it. You actually have to pull apart the fuel line and insert banjo fittings and washers and copper seals and get it and then you got to do it. That's the only way to do it, and he's going to fucking do it. I got all the gear here. He's going to have to figure out his way to do it, but that's it. And there's the first two things to check. Now, he had an intermittent cutting out problem before, and it had a distributor code. He popped the distributor in it. Guess what? That part went away. That part worked just fine. So now he's just dealing with this part. He's not far away because the engine does run. We're not dealing with a timing belt issue. But just so you guys know, I'm not doing it for him. He's got to do this on his own. I will guide him. I will show him. I will teach him. And I will lend him the tools. But I'm not fixing it for him. The only good news is even because I've been out of the game for a while, there's some new stuff I probably don't know. I'd probably have to relearn a lot of it if I got back in the game. But on a 91 Toyota Camry, yeah, I think I can fucking take on anything on that thing bumper to bumper. I'd probably be okay. So, we got a good shot at fixing it. But if you guys want to know how that goes as a kid, the next thing is he's got a Dodge Daytona truck that has no AC that he took it to a guy to get it fixed when we were kind of butting heads, and the guy charged him a bunch of money, fucked it up. And now it's got a short in it that it didn't have before. And if you guys know what a power probe is, and old school guys used to call them Polatrons back in the day, I held up this tool. I said, we can figure out your stuff with this. But he's never come to me and said, let's do it right now. As soon as he does, I'm all over it. Anyway, And yes, I do have the R134 machines that we can evac and recharge the system when it's done. I still have my AC license. I can still buy Freon. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, Gen X Mom.
Kristen Hartman wants you to know I still have my dad's original Craftsman socket set.
Yeah, there's those were good tools. They did crack, they did break, especially if you try to use them. I think they broke more on farm equipment than anything else because you guys use them on farm equipment a lot. You guys fix your own shit, automotive. But for basic keeping a tool set around the house for a lifetime, I don't think back in the day you could have done better than Craftsman. I remember being like 16 and wanting the big Sears. You walk into Sears and they had that board. Remember that? And they're like, would you like the 1,272 piece set? You're like, yes, I would. At 15, I had to cut off my left nut to have that tool set with all the sockets, all the red. I mean, it was amazing. And if you got it for your house, for your home use, it lasts forever. So, Kristen, I do believe you. Good set.
Keith Peterson says, I used to fix RV campers for a living.
Yeah, Keith.
Most of my wrenches from Harbor Freight. Spent the money with Snap-on for the flared DBL flared tube cutter.
Yeah. That's I used to work on motorhomes also. I worked at Young's RV Center in Lancaster, and there was a Crown, what was it called? In Acton, California, on Crown Valley Road. And I can't remember the name of it now, what it was called. It's not there anymore. Worked on RVs there for a while, and you can get away because you're not heavy on the automotive side. The coach side, I was certified refrigerators and air conditioners and hot water heaters and shit. You can get away with a lot of Harbor Freight stuff there. But he's right. The flaring toolkits and even line wrenches. I have never found line wrenches that work unless you get them off a tool truck. And I'm not going to explain what a line wrench is right now. I don't have a way to demonstrate it, but line wrenches are a big deal. So just so you know. Yeah, I agree with you is what I'm trying to say.
Dan Daniel in Facebook says, if it's a Dodge, check the ballast resistor. Change 30 of those on my own car growing up, Mopar or no car.
I don't think they use ballast resistors anymore. His isn't that old. Ballast resistors, the way I now, there's resistors like on your fan, your fan and your AC, your heat inside. There's resistors, but the ones they called ballast resistors, GM used them, Dodge used them, Ford used them, but they were part of your ignition system. They went to your points, so it's not that old, and I don't think that's part of the AC system that I'm aware of. Now they use ASD relays and stuff like that. But anyway.
Rod Prospect, he says they should put an access panel in the beds of trucks to access the fuel pump.
Some do. Not trucks, but there are a lot of cars that went to that. Mercedes, Mazda 929s back in the day, you lift up the seat and there's panels. Toyota did a lot of them too. They just started putting a panel where you could go right to the top of the gas tank and get it, and it's a lifesaver. Yeah. Don't think that that's not a good idea. You have a good idea, but somebody thought of it 20 years ago. But not everybody does it. Not every manufacturer takes it. It costs money. Think about, here's what people don't understand. Let's say I were to come to you, you're going to build 1,000 Toyota Corollas, or I'm sorry, 1,000,000 Toyota Corollas. And I tell you, hey, we really should cut an access panel right here, put some screws in it so people can get to the fuel pump. And you look at me and go, we're building 1,000,000 of these cars. How much is that going to cost? And I go, nothing. It's going to cost like $5. You're thinking, well, I won't put it on there. And I just saved $5 million. $5 a car. I'm going to build 1,000,000 Toyotas. I'm not going to put that on there. That's a $5 million in savings. That's the way some car manufacturers think. There are things they could easily do to make things accessible. Heater cores, under dashes, they could easily put a panel where you can get to stuff. They never do. I've never seen one that did. Maybe they're out there, but I've never seen one. Fuel pump's one that does come on some cars, but not on all of them. And almost never on trucks because they just want you to lift up the bed. We usually used to tilt the beds, unbolt the bed, tilt it, put a jack stand in there and do the work that way. Or drop the tank.
Tony on YouTube says Proto makes good tools.
You know what was funny is Proto, when I was first getting into business, Proto was a tool that a lot of guys had in their toolbox. They had Snap-on Mac toolboxes and stuff like that. And this is, I'm going to say back when I was working for U-Haul, on their trucks. But a big shop, a lot of really good trained guys there, well-trained guys there. And they had Proto Tools, and I'd never heard of Proto Tools. In fact, I started looking around. I found them at garage sales. And I went to my grandfather, same guy, and I said, Proto. And he goes, well, Proto was big during the war and after the war. Proto made some damn good tools. So I started collecting them as I would go around and find them in places, yard sales, and my buddies, they don't want their tool sets, and I'd I'd get some stuff like that. And I was still young. I was probably 16 or 17 working on these things. And the real mechanics used to make fun of me. And they had one phrase. They used it with Proto, and they used it with Craftsman tools. If I had Craftsman tools in my toolbox, they'd make fun of me. If I had Proto Tools in my toolbox, they'd make fun of me. You want to know what the phrase they would use was? You get out your Proto Tool and say, yeah, nice. How often does the Proto Tool truck come around? Service your tools. How often does the Craftsman tool truck come by and service your broken tools? Snap-on comes by. Mac Tools comes by. They would tease me about the truck. Turns out there was Proto Tool trucks at one time. I don't know if there is anymore. There weren't in the 80s and 90s. I never saw one. I lived in some big towns in LA, lived in Vegas. I never saw any Proto Tool trucks. But apparently there was Proto Tool trucks, just like Snap-on, just like Mac. I didn't know that. But Proto, if you find those old tools, they're tough. They're good tools. They were made tough back in the day. You find them, hang on to them. You find them at yard sales or estate sales, don't let them go. If you want to let them go, I'll take them. They're fucking good. Yeah, Gen X Mom.
Dan Daniel on Facebook.
Dan Daniel.
Lots of custom trucks and rebuilders now add the access in the truck beds.
Yeah.
Plus, it's 5 million more in billable hours to the customer because you have to drop the tank.
Yeah, they make things. They do design things so you have to go to the dealership. They do design things so the dealership can charge you, once they're out of warranty, they can charge you more money there. And they'll tell the dealerships that, say, hey, we're helping you. We're fucking up these vehicles so eventually you guys get paid more. We're helping keeping food on your table. Yeah, thanks a lot, man. But the rest of us, if you're not working, I fucking suffer. True story. All right, so if you guys remind me, I will tell you kind of a long story next time on how, you're going to have to remind me, you're going to write it down, on how the factory, like Ford and Chevy, Dodge, Toyota's doing it too, how they are going to force independent garages out of business, and they can do it. There's a way to do it, and we've seen it coming for a long time. I have friends that still work at the dealerships that tell me they're taking classes. You take classes all the time to learn product training. They will come home and they'll call me and say, hey, another one of the instructors said this particular thing is coming. They're gearing up for it, and they're gonna wipe out independent garages. So wherever you're taking your car to, you got an older car, you'll be okay, but they're gonna phase the independent garages out, and there is a way to do it. Can't stop them. Remind me, I'll tell you the whole story next time. Listen, are we about done here? We're good? I didn't get to some of my stuff. We had mechanics wire to get to. We had this tool that no one's ever seen before. Yeah, you guys didn't know about that one. We had some stuff. And just so you guys know, there's a tape, and there's a smart end and a dumb end. And if you find yourself at the dumb end every single time, you're part of the problem. All right. I got to get out of here. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for listening in. Not sure where you're paying attention to us from. AM, FM, Sirius XM, or perhaps you tuned in on the Armed Service Radio Network. Remember two things in life. Number one, wherever you go, there you are. Number two, I'll catch you guys on the flip side. I'm out, baby.